Hi everyone, it's Brittany here. I just wanted to make a video about tips for moving and living in New York City. I know before I moved here, I looked up tons of YouTube videos about apartment tours, what it's like to live here, how do people dress, how to ride the subway, silly things like that, and I thought that this video would be good for you guys who are thinking about moving here or who are just interested about living in New York City, because you see a lot of things in the movies and you hear a lot of things, but we don't really know what's true until you're here. My first tip is to know where you want to live. Obviously, this is one of the more important things because you'll be sleeping here and spending a lot of your time in your apartment. You want to think about which neighborhood you want to live in. Do you want to live in Manhattan, which means you're on the island? Do you want to live in Brooklyn? Do you want to live in the Bronx? Do you want to live in Jersey? Do you want to commute further? Depending on where you work and where you live, it really makes a difference, because obviously in LA people drive 30 an hour in the car, and actually riding on the subway isn't as bad because you can multitask, but it still takes a lot of things into consideration. We live on the Upper East Side, or Yorkville. I know it sounds really nice, it sounds like Gossip Girl or something, but we actually live on the further east side and further up north, so the further you are from Central Park, it's not as nice. And like I said in my apartment video, if you haven't watched it, we pay a little under $2,000 for a studio, and it's not bad. Really, each neighborhood has its own character, and it depends on what you like. You also want to think about, do you want to live on the east side or the west side? The west side generally has more families. It's a little nicer on the west side. Do you want to live on lower Manhattan, like the lower east side, which is where a lot of the good food is? Depends what kind of place you like and what you're looking for. Do you want a new apartment building? Do you want an elevator? Obviously, the more expensive apartment buildings that are newer, they'll be more expensive, but they'll be nicer. They'll have a dishwasher and a washer and dryer and things like that. So really take into consideration what you're looking for. The best website I think you can use is called Straight Easy, which is basically like a Craigslist for New York real estate. You can look to rent or to buy, and you can filter through what your max and minimum rent is, how many bedrooms you want, how many bathrooms you want, what neighborhoods you want. And you can even see how close it is to the subway, which is my second tip, is you want to live near a subway stop. You may think you can walk 0.8 miles every single day, but think about how many times you're walking there and back and how difficult it is to get to the subway when it's snowing outside, when it's hot outside, or when it's cold, or when you're just lazy. So right now we live about 0.4 miles from the subway, and that's a 7 to 8 minute walk. And it may not sound like a lot in the beginning, but it actually does get to be kind of long. So I would prefer to live closer to the subway, but of course, the closer you are to the subway, it's probably a little more expensive. So you really need to think about what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're not willing to sacrifice. Another thing to take into consideration is that generally a lot of apartments require you to make 40 times the rent. For example, if your rent is $2,000, you would need to make $80,000 a month combined income, which is kind of crazy for people who are just moving here. The other way to get around it is to use a guarantor or someone like a parent who can basically sign forms for you and guarantee that you'll pay your rent. Okay, talking about the subway, make sure you get a Metro card when you come here. Most of them are yellow and blue, but I have this refillable one because obviously you can use the unlimited, and it's $116 and a little more, I think, per month, and you can ride as many times as you want, but you have to actually refill it each month. So each month you'll see a long line at the stations trying to refill to the unlimited card. This one keeps your credit card on file, and it just re-adds it every month, so you don't have to ever go to those stations, because sometimes they don't take cash, sometimes it's not working, sometimes there's a long line. You just don't want to have to deal with that. Personally, I like it, and you just go to easypaymetrocard.com. Otherwise, I would definitely suggest getting the unlimited. I did the math. If you at least commute to work once in the morning and once at night, it's worth it for the month. It may sound like a lot, but believe me, you'll spend more because it's $275 per ride otherwise. And on weekends, you'll definitely be going around, and when friends are over, etc. It's always good to keep an extra card with you that is not unlimited, because sometimes when you're on the unlimited and you go through the turnstile, if it doesn't work, or if it's the kind where it rotates and the person behind you or in front of you causes like an issue, you may have wasted your swipe, and because it's unlimited, you have to wait at least 5 minutes before using it again. So you want to have an extra one that you can just swipe and go through. Or what if your friend needs one? Or if this doesn't work for some reason, you just always want to back up. Now, I don't know if you're a germaphobe like I am, but I really hate the subway because there's poles that you grab onto, but you don't know who else has grabbed onto that pole. So I would suggest definitely getting some sort of hand sanitizer. During the winter, it's not as bad because you wear gloves, so it feels protected, but during the summer, make sure you get some sort of protection for that. Also, on the subway, it's nice to get a seat, but you won't always get a seat, or sometimes you need to give it up for someone that's in need. So my favorite part to go on the subway is once you go in, I would head to the back where the rails are, because then you can lean on it and you don't have to hold onto a pole. Yes. Your hands are free, and really all that's touching the pole is your jacket, which will get dirty anyway. So if you can, I would head to those areas. When you're actually in the subway, a good tip to know is to move into the middle, otherwise people will get mad at you and you will get yelled at. Because people tend to congregate towards the door, and it's easy when you're first coming in, but you want to try to look for space to go towards the middle, which is annoying because it's a smaller space and you have to grab onto the pole, which is higher for short people like me. And you're facing the people that are sitting down, but if you don't move, people will yell at you because they can't get through. And if there's space, you want to funnel into the middle so that other people can get through at each stop. And you'll know when this gets crowded during rush hour or when it's just crowded in general. Sometimes you have to climb over people because they're not willing to move in, but I hate being yelled at, and personally I think it's better than being yelled at. My next tip would be how to dress in New York. So when I first came here from California, I wore my rainbows everywhere, and I slowly realized that not only are New York streets dirty, but you don't know what is on them. And with rainbows, your feet are totally exposed. For some reason, my feet got much more tired. I think it's because I'm just walking so much, even though I've taken them to Disneyland and I've survived. But I think in New York, it's not all flat terrain. It's like there's random hills or it's just like crooked. So it just was really difficult, and you can't walk fast in flip-flops. So I realized closed-toe shoes are better. Obviously, I came in September, so it wasn't as hot, and I don't know how the next summer is going to be, but I think like people wear a lot of Birkenstocks or things where you're a little higher off the ground and you're somewhat covered, but it still lets the air through. Obviously, in the winter, a lot of boots. Make sure you invest in some good snow boots. As you can see here, I have these Ilse Jacobson snow boots, which are good because you see the thick heel and the traction. There's a lot of black ice, so there's a lot of ice that's just solid on the ground and you can't tell. And you want it to go up pretty high because there's some high puddles, or if the snow is piling on top of each other. You also want to make sure that it's warm, because obviously the snow is very cold, and even though you're wearing socks, your feet will get cold. So make sure it's lined well. Another good thing to have is a crossbody or a big purse. And I realize a lot of people either wear backpacks, crossbody purses that are smaller because it's easier to go in and out, or a big sack bag. And that way you can fit everything in there. The bad thing about the subway not having a car is when you go out for the day, you are out for the day. And especially since we live on the Upper East Side, it's a little harder to get to. So if we're down in Lower Manhattan, we're not going to go all the way back up. We need to bring all the stuff that we need with us that day, and it would help to have a really big bag. Or going to work. A lot of people don't actually use like nice work bags that you would see in California, so they just use like big boho bags or big bags. Another thing to invest in is a good jacket. When I asked people here, they suggested Canada Goose, which is kind of like a fad, and it's really expensive. It's basically close to $1,000 for jackets, but I think they're worth it. I would say for me, when it got down to the single digits, considering the wind chill, I was still warm. Whatever part the Canada Goose covered, I was warm. Of course, there's still like this little exposed part on my knee between where my boots and my jacket ended that was cold, or maybe my face, but my actual body was warm. And if you can handle really cold weather, you could probably go out in a t-shirt with just the jacket and survive. Of course, I had to wear like a long sleeve with it, but you don't really have to layer, which is nice. So here's my Canada Goose jacket, and this is the hood I'm talking about, where it's like super warm inside. And I got the longer one so that it covers pretty much almost down to my knee. Very, very nice. Another good thing is Heat Tech from Uniqlo. So Heat Tech are basically like extra layers that you can wear. These are the legging ones, and then they also have t-shirt ones or like a tank top. And it's really good because you wear it underneath your clothes, and it has some special Japanese technology where it keeps you warm. And if you really are I would suggest getting the Ultra Heat Tech or the Extra Warm Heat Tech, because the one I got was just the regular heat tech for my legs, and my legs are still cold, even in 30-degree weather. And they're not that bulky. Another helpful thing I found, and I know it makes me look super fobby, are these masks, which basically cover your nose to mouth area when it's really cold outside, because your face is what gets the coldest since it's not really covered. You could take a scarf and wrap it around your mouth, but I feel like this one doesn't slip. It's easy. It just hides behind your ears and you're good to go. Yeah, you look a little weird, but who cares, you're warm. For guys out there, a lot of them who do their hair like he does, you use these special 360-degree earmuffs that pull out and rotate, and then they just cling onto your ears, and then they fold back up into this little nice package. My last tip, and something I noticed while living here in New York, is you might wonder, with all this walking around, how do you wear nice heels when you go to work? Well, what people do is they wear either tennis shoes or boots or just like comfortable shoes when they walk to work, and then when they get to work, they switch out their shoes. So what I do is I keep a pair of flats in my actual drawer, and then I just wear boots when I'm walking to and from the subway from home. And then once I get to work, I change out of my socks, my boots, and I change into my flats. Or if you want heels. A lot of people do this, especially when it's raining, because who wants to wear their rain boots all day inside? Or who wants to wear their snow boots all day inside? Anyway, I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and if you have any questions at all, don't forget to comment below. I would love to help you guys out. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the little bell to get notified when I upload videos. Bye!